This week.
Announced this past Sunday during Viewer Takeover, Windlands 2 is finally coming to PlayStation VR2 this week. It's running at a higher resolution, runs at 90 frames per second, has 4-player online crossplay support, and even takes advantage of headset rumble. And if you own the PSVR1 original, you'll get this upgrade for free. July 25th marks the release date for the next big Walkabout mini-golf DLC featuring Wallace and Gromit. There's currently no trailer, but in a making-of video that developer Mighty Coconut posted earlier this month, we do get a few glimpses into what the course will look like. Stay tuned for a more detailed look as we get even closer to the release date. This week, developer Vitruvius VR delivered another update on their upcoming VR adventure, Arken Age. They're promising a 10 to 15 hour campaign with a platinum trophy that should take another 5 hours or so to achieve. Physics-based combat, custom adaptive triggers for each weapon, DFR that's allowed them to practically double the in-game resolution, an option to switch between 120 reprojected and 90 native, and an additional wave-based mode with leaderboards. Now that game testing is in full swing, we should be getting a release date on Arken Age pretty soon. As we mentioned on last week's episode of This Week, Skyclimb snuck out of the gate a bit earlier than any of us expected, developers included, which means it's time for a roadmap. Between now and the end of September, VR Monkey is planning a ton of updates for the PSVR2 version, everything from more skins and multiplayer maps to a level editor, and thankfully, smooth turning, with crossplay to be implemented before the end of the year. Every update for Aces of Thunder looks better than the last, but that's especially true for this brand new trailer Gaijin Entertainment dropped this week. Not only is the game simply stunning to look at with more ground variety, more detailed textures, and more on-screen enemies than ever before, but now, in addition to the multiplayer Aces was selling itself on, we're also getting single-player missions. I guess we finally know what all the delays have been about. Gaijin hasn't set a definitive date for Aces, but they're hoping for a Q4 release. I remember when developer Blair announced that Lo-Fi would be coming to PlayStation 5 and PSVR2 sometime in 2023, and I had the utmost confidence that, after years in development, it would finally happen. Well, 2023 came and went. Hell, half of 2024 came and went too, and still no Lo-Fi. In fact, we didn't get a solid update on Lo-Fi's progress until this week, courtesy of their Kickstarter page. Now, we went through this in extreme detail on Gamescast Live, so I'll spare you the full read, but here's the breakdown. Lo-Fi currently has no programmer, no money, and needs help. It's an optimistic update though, as Blair says the game will be finished, and he's open to ideas on how to get past the finish line. Government grants, publishing deals, brand partnerships, it's all on the table. Lo-Fi's been in development for 5 years now and looks incredible, so we're all rooting for him, and I'll be sure to keep you posted as the story develops. This week, developer Ramen VR posted a 7-minute video about the history of Zenith: The Last City, the choices they made along the way, some of the mistakes they made, and the ultimate decision to stop updating Zenith with content after August. They'll continue to bug fix and keep the servers up as long as possible, but from this point on, it seems that Ramen will be focused on their next project. Now, as I mentioned on Gamescast, I got 60 hours out of Zenith, and I love being able to get in there with dozens of game cats, climb towers, fly around the world, and take down enemies and bosses with tons of other people. It was a massive achievement last gen, but without any improvements to the PSVR2 version, it was hard for me to stay engaged. But that's just me. I'd love to hear your stories about Zenith in the comments below. C-Smash VRS had a rough launch, but there's no question that the constant updates, new levels, and new game modes have radically improved the experience from top to bottom. But the one thing C-Smash needed more than anything else was cross-platform play. And that's, well, sort of, kind of coming a little bit. In a new trailer released this week, a flat-screen version of C-Smash VRS was announced called New Dimension, which will be crossplay with the PSVR2 version. Hopefully it sells well on PS5, because a larger user base is exactly what this game needs right now. If Kayak VR Mirage's somewhat tame environments are a little too tranquil for you, know that Whitewater VR Extreme Kayaking Adventure just got announced for PSVR2. It's promising a similar experience to Kayak VR Mirage with realistic physics and environments, but with more intense courses featuring dangerous rapids. It's still a single-player game, but at least we'll have a little more variety with our VR kayak options soon. The bHaptics vest is a super expensive accessory for an accessory that I've sort of been avoiding talking about for a while now. And with summer here, the last thing I want to do is wear more stuff in order to play a VR game. That aside, the official launch is here, featuring native support for 4 games: Legendary Tales, Breachers, Big Shots, and Hellsweeper VR. Now, 4 games isn't a great reason to spend $500 though, so keep in mind that it technically works through sound input with every PSVR2 game. Turn the music down and turn the sound up for the full effect. bHaptics sent me a unit to review a while back, so I'll be putting it through its paces, so should have a full review up soon. The big summer sale is here, and there's a few games that you should really be considering. Towers and Powers and Stilt are both 90% off, making them only $2 each. But if you still don't have Townsman VR, The Last Clockwinder, The Seventh Guest, Demeo, Resident Evil Village, or the Saints and Sinners bundle, now is definitely the time to pick them up. Just remember, the sale ends on July 31st.
I finally invent something that works! Well, it's adoring.
As someone who's constantly going to bat for Pinball FX2 VR to be on our top 25 PSVR 1 lists, I have to take a minute this week to mention how great Zen Studios' VR pinball games were. They looked great in the headset, the environments changed based on what's happening in the game, UFOs would fly around your head, characters would peep out from behind the machines, and there were so many tables to choose from. Original ones like Paranormal were great, but it's hard not to love the Jaws and Back to the Future movie tables too. There was even an entirely separate VR game for Star Wars pinball tables. So come on, Zen Studios, bring these games over so new VR gamers can find out what they've been missing out on. Every week, our good friend Professor Lilith organizes a multiplayer meetup over on our Discord. It happens every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and this week we'll be playing 8-player PvP platformer shooter hybrid Stilt. If you can't make this week's meetup, don't worry, it happens every Sunday at the same time. So make sure you click the link in the description below. Come join our Discord.
This week.